So this term, last term was really just head-bangingly flat out. It was really torrid and hard for me to get too loose around the community, to go to different parts of the communities, and also have really strong commitment into the local media networks. My comms guys did as best they could for me, but it was just so much about structure, infrastructure, finance, the whole thing, and getting it settled. Now, the second term, we will be a lot more focused on local, on getting some of those synergies either established or rebuilding where they were before.
Yeah, there's nothing we like better than something from the horse's mouth.
So you guys are lads.
Second
you
hand.
remind me a lot of the Hauck & Pakuranga Times.
Yeah.
So I was over there last week having a long discussion with PJ.
Yeah.
And I became the mayor because I'm a local guy, I'm a community guy, and so I really eat the local issues up. Now I am respectful of the role of the local boards and the councils. I can't be over everything.
Yeah.
But I do like to be local, and so you will see a lot more of us in coming into your office.
Good.
And having discussions.
Good. We like all that. I guess, well, one of the questions that never goes, away, particularly on the shore, is the level of rates.
Rights.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, obviously it is, again, high for the shore, with, a lot of all of the shore over the
facts
average.
Facts are, and I think this is important that we get it out of the rates department, so you can really back this up, because you guys run rates a lot. I remember the first debate that I had, when I became Super City Mayor, was with the North Shore Times, who were giving me a bit of a hiding about rates increases. And
doesn't go away.
No, it doesn't. So, average at this point in time, we're looking at an average rates increase, which is the percentage increase of the budget. That's what it is. So we're increasing the budget under the present annual plan by 2.5%. So the size of the budget, what we're asking for from the whole of the community, is 2.5% increased against the budget we had last year. And that means the average rate increase, that's for rural ratepayers, business ratepayers, and residential.
Yeah, so you're talking across Auckland.
Yeah, across, not only across Auckland, but across all the three differentials, is 2.5%. Now, of course, depending on whether you're rural, business, or residential, whether you are, wherever your house is, what sort of band it is, with its high value, medium value, low value, that will have some impact. But the average rate increase will be 2.5%. Now, we know in the North Shore that, what's the percentage of business going down?
Business rates are going down in 3 of the 4 North Shore local boards.
Okay, so what that means, so one of the shifts that we had in uniting the rating system was the first thing for residential rates. We knew that the shifts were going to be significant for some of the high value areas, and so we put in place a 3-year transition. This is the final transition year. And then we also knew that the business differential for the 34% of our rates from the business community, that there were a lot of differences. In the North Shore City Council, you had a business differential here of $1 residents to $5 business. Yeah, so 1 to 5 differential. Whereas in Franklin is a 1 to 1.2. In Manukau is a 1 to 1.7, and in Auckland City a 1 to 1.6. So we averaged it and ended up at a 1 to 2.63. All right. So the business differential was we felt too high. So we are moving that 0.1% every year to 1 to 1.7, and so as we shift at 1% every year, we are reducing the impact of rates on business by $14 million a year, and shifting that burden to the residential ratepayers. All right, so that means in 3 out of 4 boards in the North Shore, covered by your area circulation, there are business rates decreases. All right, so, and then 2 out of the 3 boards have a average of 2.4 to 2.5% rate increase. So pretty much on the average rate increase that we have right across the city. Now, one of them is higher. And we know
they
that,
seem to get that quite a bit.
Yeah, and it's because obviously very high property values and faster than average property value increases. Okay, so they might be winning on the valuation side, but they're paying higher rates.
And not everybody wants to sell and move on up the property market. We've got a lot of retirees, live in a place like this, they don't want to move.
No, and you wouldn't want to sell for a 1 or 2% difference in rates.
Yep.
They're gaining massive capital gain. And of course rates is under the new system figured out on CV, not on LV.
Yeah.
So yes, in one of the board areas, this one here in particular, there are higher than average rate increases across the residential, but lower business rates going down, and and then in the other two board areas, it's at about 2.4, 2.5, so it's about
what
average.
can you do to ease the burden for people like that? I mean, we've got a lot of retirees. You've also got a lot of people who've invested all their money into their property, and then they're not really cash rich. They might be property rich, but they're not cash rich.
So in particular, what you're doing is highlighting the issue that I have given a promise to in the last election, and certainly around this community, and particularly for the elderly. So there are a rating system is inherently unfair, and I say that, and the best example of why it's unfair is the way in which it impacts on the elderly.
Yep.
In a rating system where you pay rates according to the value of your property.
Yeah.
Well, generally, the more you get into your senior years, the more you're sitting on high value property. Therefore, the more you're getting, sort of significant property capital value increases. Which is driving your rates up. But at the same time, you're flatlining your income.
Yep.
And the only mitigation that you can get for that to give you help is the rates rebate.
Yeah.
And that is set at quite a low rate.
Yeah.
And I've been hammering the government to make it a rebate that is available through your taxation system, and secondly to lift the threshold. The threshold is very low, and for people in more comfortable situation in some parts of this community, their income levels, maybe for trust reasons or whatever, are over the threshold, and they can't access the rebate. So, or they won't access a rebate because they don't like the fact that it looks like someone's been nosy park and getting all their financial information.
Yeah.
So there's this year. So for those who are elderly and are entitled to the rates rebate, that is the only support or mitigation that they can get for increase in rates above the average, and any increase of rates for them. The second thing that I'll do, and what I promised the ratepayers of Auckland, is that we would start a genuine debate about funding of local government in the country. And the last debate we had was led by David, what's his name?
Thornton.
Thornton,
Yep.
No rates, mate.
Yep.
And David, forced Parliament with his support into a review which really only dealt with rates. We need to have a review of all options to get a much fairer and sustainable way of funding local government. And another part of rates that's not fair is there's only about 500,000 or 600,000 ratepayers in Auckland yet.
Sorry, how many did you say?
500,000 to 600,000. So 500,000 residential and probably 100,000 business. And you've only got, you've got probably 1 million people in employment.
So you're saying that it might, one of the things that might need to stretch to some kind of poll tax type system that...
Oh, well, of course, the media love to use that term, the poll tax.
Or flat rate, would you prefer to...
Flat rate, GST, income related. So the only thing that I talk about is income related, and what that might end up being is a tax that for the local provision of local services that's income related, so it's a much fairer connect between affordability, and secondly that it would be something that everyone is paying. Whereas presently you only pay if you own a property, which is not equitable in itself, because we're building a city, and the costs for that apply really to everybody, not just to the users.
Yep.
So I'm looking to start that debate at Local Government New Zealand. I'm a member of the National Council, and we will start that debate next month. I'm very confident that there will be total support across Local Government New Zealand, all the councils, the mayors and everyone, that we should have a nationwide debate and work with Parliament.
How quickly do you think you could?
We'll debate that over a year. Look, and it'll depend on the outcome. We might have this full blown debate and end up saying, actually what we've got is fair. Or we may come out with a recommendation or outcome that in the end the people say, I think that's the way forward. But the Parliament would have to agree and change the law.
Would you agree on any kind of referendum on an issue like that?
I think that if the outcome was compelling enough, it just wouldn't be a referendum in Auckland. It'd be a nationwide referendum. One of the outcomes might be to take, $1 or $2 of the GST, and fund local government that way. There's countless numbers of different models globally. Part user charges, part entrance tax, part bed tax from hotels, part as I say, type of income tax.
Have you seen anything that works the best?
City taxes they have got in America and Europe and Australia, different types of city tax, progressive taxation systems that basically apply to a city jurisdiction. But there are so many different systems.
Have you seen any one that seems to work well?
No, if I start saying that, then people say, that's what he wants. And it's a bit like the discussion talking about funding we're having on how we fund the balance of our transportation investment requirements. And one of the two options is either a congestion or network charge, and we will debate that this year too. And people are trying to pin me to that. I'm quite open-minded. All I know is that we have got a significant investment in transport right across the city, that being a gridlocked city is not the answer.
No.
Being a city with full integration transport options is the answer. And we're growing to fast enough for us to actually make some fairly rapid and smart decisions, and we can't put off these tough decisions for any more generations. And so, we are firmly focused on, getting a couple of models in front of the community and have a really good, decent, informed debate. And, I won't be saying to people what my preference is until, we've arrived at a point of, okay, this is the one that we should, and I know exactly why. I've seen all the modelling, I've got all the funds to hand. And so to come out right at the start of this debate and say, I think we should be doing this, I might be dead wrong. It may well be that out of the discussion and the information we get, there's a dual, a multi-type system that has 3 or 4 different types of mechanisms that is by far the best and sustainable for Auckland going forward. All right.
I guess the other issue that's come up recently that was raised by the former Mayor Andrew Williams was around
You
events.
mean the MP Andrew Williams?
Yes. Was around the events on the shore, and it's an issue that's
the shore is event city. Now, look, I think I've been to many events on the shore, and in fact, I was at the Takapuna Beach Cup the other day. It was a stunner, and you're hard pushed through the summer months in particular to find the beaches without any types of localised or regional events going on them. We have, through the Rugby World Cup, the North Harbour Stadium had sort of 4 or 5 key games. We had the World Softball Champs at I think it's Rosedale Park. And that was outstanding.
What about the movies
we've had the soccer
and the theatre and parks? But people have noticed that the number of those have dropped off quite substantially.
Well, they've been great through this summer.
But not as many as there used to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So look, we have a high focus on events and shows, of course, in the city, and we are looking to ensure it's just not about the CBD, but that we've got them right around the city, and the people are loving them. Look, even if they're not in your backyard, even if it's not happening on Milford Beach or in the middle of Glenfield, it may be something that's going on in the Botanic Gardens like Elvis was last weekend.
Right.
Which was fun. Or something that's going on out at Olympic Park, Eco Day is in a couple of weeks' time.
What about the support for big events like the Devonport Food and Wine Festival?
So the Devonport Food and Wine, I mean, I think there were issues relating to management and how that event was to go forward that put it right between the major events, ATED guys who manage the Nines and all that, and local events run by the boards. And this has always been run by Rotary, if I recall.
Yep.
And I just think that they were struggling with format and management, and but it wasn't big enough really for AT to take over as a regional event or want to take over. So look,
is there somebody else that could step in? In those circumstances where AT can't.
Yeah, but also, things come and go. I mean, we lost the V8. We lost Ellerslie Flower Show. We have lost events in the past, and I don't like to lose anything anymore in terms of events. As an event show city, this city, we're proud to be able to not only start up events like Nines, but make them sustainable and really make them happen. Now, we have a number of taste type shows. We do Seafood Festival, we do Taste Auckland, and I've been to this festival, the Food and Wine Festival, on 2 or 3 occasions. I thought it was great. And look, I mean, if it's really sustainable and if the locals really like it, then I'm sure that it will reinvent itself into something more. And Devonport is a great place to have a localised fair. It's a stunning location.
Is it something that Auckland Council could get back involved with?
Well, what we would do at the front end of this is really take the local board's lead and the local councillors' lead, and just sort of listen to what they've got to say, understand what the challenges were, because I know they had challenges in running that festival. All right, we don't need to get into the details of it. Suffice to say, it had its challenges. But if the local councils and the local board had a view that this was a type of event that could be resuscitated and repackaged, represented, then we would listen to it. I mean, man, oh man, we are the city that can make events happen and work no matter where they are. And and of course, in the shore you can do anything.
Of course we can.
You can, man. I mean, the thing that my role is unique. I get to see the very best and the very worst of the city, and the different types of spirits that have generated and built parts of the city. And on the shore, you are highly collaborative, and generally speaking, are able to run things on the smell of an oily rag, so you're really efficient. And have a great reputation of delivering great events. There's a real, through that collaboration. There's a lot of
very big cultural events on the shore now too. It's good and reflective of our community.
It is, but a lot of those are just localised events that have become big. And so, look, just for this one here in particular, I'd be interested in some direction from the board and from the councillors, and then we just keep the discussion going. But, there was a lot that was good about that Food and Wine Festival. The location was great, the mix was great, they seemed to have a really good buy-in from the foodies and the winies. Let's keep the discussion going.
Okay, cool.
Now you're talking about theatres and so obviously the George Mason,
Bruce Mason.
Bruce Mason.
Yep.
George Mason. Is the Bruce Mason. So very sad. To hear about that. Now, of course, the ratepayers of Auckland have jumped in to back them up. Okay. So this is just shows you that you know, when it hits the fan, we are the guarantors. We, the people of Auckland. So we've gone in there, and what we want to do, because the Bruce Mason has been a great theatre. I've been there on many occasions. It's always busy. And look, one of the last times I was in there was with Prince Charles and you know, Camilla, and we saw one of
Margaret Mahy.
Yeah, Margaret Mahy's. You know.
Harry McCleary.
He was fabulous. He was fabulous.
Live without him.
Yeah, look, and so it's perfect size, great configuration, needs a bit of work, but every theatre needs a bit of work once it gets past 20 years. And but you know, clearly management issues there that we need to sort out. We want to stick it back on its feet. To the benefit of the local community.
Are you keen to see it get some big shows in there as well? I mean,
well, but it is constrained by its size. You know, I think it's an 800-seater, if I recall, 800 plus mezzanine
slightly
upstairs.
More than that. Yeah,
about 1100, so 300 up, 800 down. In its full configuration. It's very well kitted out, depth and width wise in its stage.
You can also rip all the seats out, and it's amazing like that.
So and look, excellent acoustics. You know, as I say, I must have been to, I don't know, 20 shows, events, citizenships in there. And so it's just perfect for the local shore community. And so we are certainly determined to put it back as a sustainable cultural asset for the community, but we need to work out the financial side. And so could we get big shows? Yeah, on the basis that a show would be prepared to come in there and you know, so a Les Mis, an Andrew Lloyd Webber, why not? I mean, I saw the Royal Ballet in there doing Nutcracker. Not Pinocchio, rather, not Nutcracker.
Right.
And you know,
they've had a lot of dance in there.
And,
a lot of dance.
And I mean, that was packed out. It was you know, a fabulous occasion. And I you know, would have thought that you could do some pretty good sized theatre, but you can't do a Civic or an Aotea in there.
No.
It's just not big enough.
And you wouldn't want to, really?
No. No.
I guess that, you know, another big issue for the shore has been certainly the ongoing issues around the NAUSC and where its future location will be. And you may have seen the questions I put to you with the latest idea that it could potentially run out of Channel View.
I think one of the things that there is something of a sentiment for here is for someone to just step up and take a decision. And I think that we need to continue to support the board in working through the process they've gone through thus far, and the prior board and now the board they've presently got. If whenever something doesn't quite pan out, you know, the mayor has to get called in to sort it out and you know, bang some heads together. Well, that isn't really a recipe for a modern, forward-looking, you know, sort of city that is able to get stuff done. You know, we need to be a team of leaders. And I'm very, very comfortable in the role of strong leader, but this is a very localised issue. We have got some serious skin in the game here. I think it's $3 million each for ourselves and the government. I totally support having it at Takapuna. Takapuna is the capital of sailing in the world, not just in Auckland or New Zealand. And so the original vision of having you know, an elite sailing base here in Takapuna as a base for New Zealand is the right vision. And you know, I think it's critical for the shore rights to embrace it. One thing though that we're looking for in the change to the super city is we're not mucking around. So you snooze, you lose. And the shore rights aren't renowned for mucking around, they're renowned for actually getting action done. And you know, so we are now going into a period of high growth and activity in Auckland. Everyone can see it. Lots of investment in transport, lots of investment in economic development. You know, buildings going up all around the place. There's a lot of investment starting to rock into Takapuna. And so you know, my only advice to the community, and this is what I am encouraging, is don't debate for too long. have the argument, finish it, agree the outcome, and then build the darn thing. And so I will be playing an active role there in encouraging a conclusion to the debate.
Because we're obviously getting up to the point where it's getting pretty close to when our sailors need to be preparing for the next Olympics.
Well, tell me, I mean, we are a global power. Look, we're a global power, obviously, in sailing. And we're a global power in sailing technology. And we don't want to let that advantage slip on either of those fronts. I mean, we're about providing and building a platform for our kids to find and follow their dreams, and the dreams for many youngsters in these communities relates to yachting. And we are in danger of not providing at a good enough pace a facility that could assist them significantly in their desire and their dream to excel in yachting and represent New Zealand on a global stage.
Do you have a view on that particular site and whether it would work as a compromise? That's how it's being pushed.
Yeah, I think that they've gone through a process, and I really want, for a start, I want to respect that process. So the last board basically, had hearings and everyone had their say. Now I know the paper has been quite formidable in its involvement in the debate.
And our issue has been pushing what the public view is.
You'll be struggling to find out exactly what that is. That's been the struggle. What is the public view? 2,000
people submitted on it.
Yeah.
The Facebook page for Save Takapuna Beach Motorcamp is now nearly up to 10,000.
That's right.
So there's strong views in this area that we have been reflecting. We've been reflecting both sides, but we can't help but show what the view has been out there on this issue.
And all I am saying is that with the board having come to a position, and that, as a consequence of them exercising their rights to do so.
Obviously they've got a slightly different position now.
I know, but one of another couple of key values for the new city, which I hope that we implement as we go along, is that we are reliable and consistent in our decision making, so we don't flip-flop. All right, that once we make decisions, we actually follow them through and then deliver against the decisions. If you don't do that, people think you lack political courage, lack the drive and determination in the will to actually get stuff done.
Obviously on this issue there is quite a different political makeup of the local board now, and a different stance on this issue as well. Are you calling that a type of flip-flopping?
No, I'm saying that for us as a city it is important that we continue to show some reliability and consistency around our decision making. That's all I'm saying. And so what I think is now critical is for the board and the councillors to be consistent in their decision making as they go through this, and make the decision on the best information that they've got. And as I say, I'm loath to put myself in the middle of this because it is a local issue and should be resolved at a local level.
So you didn't want to express a viewpoint about whether or not that site...
The viewpoint that I expressed is we've got to be able to do it somewhere along Takapuna.
But you're not prepared to express a view about where that should be?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Got to try. Slow the presses.
Slow the presses. The mayor has not jumped in the middle. I've just been quietly observing the dynamics there, and I'm sure that they can find a good and appropriate outcome. There's another thing I'll say. There's one of the other things that I've been really impressed with, and that I think, Shore Rights and we as Aucklanders ought to really basically support this. We love our green esplanade areas between our commercial and housing zones and the beach. And the North Shore City Council did a great job of buying up land and converting it to reserve land.
Yeah, they did.
And what I would say is that should be your premium value in how we deal with the beaches here in particular, because it's a great vision. And that should be a driving...
And an expensive one at the time.
Well,
too.
and it will always be expensive. It'll get no cheaper.
No.
But what a great vision for the local community, that you have this great green reserve area that abuts the beach. It's a fabulous vision,
and
we can deliver it. And that is, I guess, part of the pros and the cons relating to what's going on with the caravan park. And but what I would say is just reflect back on that overarching vision that we are creating a green public zone for all people to access, not some, but everybody. And I think that's a great vision. And how you implement that and over what time frame is obviously something for the local communities to decide for themselves too. But I would say that as Aucklanders, we should hang on to that vision, because it's a great vision, and particularly in this part of the city.
Not everyone can afford to buy it for themselves these days around here, that's for sure. Yeah.
And so it means that everyone gets access. And look, we've got great beach reserve esplanades right around the city, but in particularly here with some of New Zealand's greatest beaches. It's great that we've had this really strong public policy position of buying up private property to create public esplanades.
Because the coastal works absolute stunner.
Look, I mean,
here
to some extent, the locals will take it for granted, because you're sort of living in amongst, don't think about it. But for where you live in different parts of Auckland and come to these beaches, and enjoy, those occasions, it's been a stunning vision.